Hello, friends. We're back for another NFL showdown slate. We got Monday Night Football. We have the Jets versus the 49ers tonight. We're going to go over that slate. But before we do, please like and comment this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us a ton just to give away more content for free. And as always, come join us at LineStar. We'd love to have you. $39.99 per month gets you access to everything we do. All the props, all the DFS, all the tools, the best ball, the optimizers. You get it all. One low price. Come join us. Let's go. Okay. So we got a Monday night clash between the Jets and the 49ers. It is an interesting one for sure. I do expect this to be a good game. 43 total is pretty low, and probably right. It might go a little bit over because both the offenses are very efficient, but both offenses are slow, which doesn't bode well for a ton of scoring. Both defenses also are solid. So we are in an interesting situation here, and let's start breaking it down position by position. After this week, we're going to start being able to use some more of our tools, the team defense, the matchup tools, snap rates, red zone stuff. But as of now, all of that is last year's data. And while it gives us a little bit into what may happen, it doesn't show us the whole picture. And that's the problem here. All right, so first up, we got Brock Purdy. He is expected to be the highest owned quarterback, and he's in a decent spot. I would say our projection, consensus, both has him 2 point higher than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers' efficiency is something that's just hard to kind of quantify, though. He can much outplay that 15.34. And I think the matchup for him is a little bit easier in this spot. The issue here is that the 49ers scheme, their offensive scheme, is just amazing, and Kyle Shanahan is so good about getting guys open in space that it's going to be a tough game. It really comes down to, does that D-line of the Jets, is it able to really get after Brock Purdy and cause some problems? As is San Francisco versus Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is coming off his Achilles tear, and we're not really sure how mobile he's going to be, if he's going to be pretty much, tied to that pocket, or if he can move and escape a little bit like he used to. All signs show that he should be okay and he should be able to move, but this is our first glimpse, and I'm not that surprised seeing his ownership so much lower than Brock Purdy because of that. We just don't fully know what to expect out of Aaron Rodgers, but I would be surprised if at least one of these quarterbacks wasn't in the perfect lineup. The fact is that they just have the most ability to score fantasy points on this slate, and they both have very good weapons. Brock Purdy does have a little bit better weapons just out of the sheer number with Kittle, Ayuk, Samuel, CMC, whereas Aaron Rodgers, he's got Garrett Wilson and he has Breece Hall, both that are very good quality players, but just the number of guys is way less there. So not surprised Brock is getting a little more ownership, getting a little higher projection as well. Now getting over to running back spot, we got CMC, clearly the highest owned, as he should be. Now we do have to talk the fact about he is questionable. So that raises some concerns. Is he going to get the normal workload? Now this guy is just a workout warrior and all about his health, has been, dating back to high school. He used to get IVs on game days in high school. So he would be, make sure that he is hydrated and wouldn't have cramps and all that kind of stuff. But it is a calf issue. You never like to see muscle injuries entering into the year, as they can linger a little bit. So maybe the 49ers are a little careful with him and he doesn't get, as big of a workload as he has. But he's the best running back in the game. You obviously have to consider him due to the fact that he can score in so many different ways. Then Breece Hall, a year removed from his ACL injury, we saw him have a huge season last year with a terrible quarterback. His situation has much improved, and him, Bijan, CMC are clearly the top tier of running backs this year. And I think at $1,400 cheaper, you got to be pretty interested in Brees here. You do mention or see here the consensus for CMC is 22 points. Brees Hall is 18. So, there's a 4.4 point difference here between the consensus, and then you go to our projections and it's it's an 8-point difference, so it's a giant difference for us, where you would probably like CMC over Brees. But once again, one of these guys is likely in the perfect lineup, and both very, very well could be. Now, if you go down the list here, Jordan Mason, if CMC is, limited at all, and Jordan Mason plays a little more, he becomes very interesting at 3K. There is the path to that. And then on the Jets side, Braylon Allen is a very impressive rookie. He's locked in as the RB2. If he spells Brees Hall at all, there's a little bit of interest there. But both, with Braylon Allen, I think it's going to require a touchdown for him to really be optimal. Jordan Mason, I think there's the chance that he plays enough that he's optimal without a touchdown. Is it likely? No, but I think there is a little bit of a chance. So at lower ownership, I would prefer Jordan Mason over Braylon Allen. All right, let's get over to our wide receiver situation. And this is one that's interesting, and I think we really need to dive in. Mike Williams, he is wide receiver 2 for the Jets, and they have said that he is going to come along like they did with Brees Hall last season. He also is coming back from an ACL injury. Last season, Brees Hall played 31% of the snaps in week 1. So I think that's a decent benchmark to consider what Mike Williams might be playing. Maybe he goes to 40%, maybe he's at 25%, but regardless, it is going to be a limited snap count. Now, he could still work out. This is a big-bodied, athletic receiver that can definitely get a touchdown, and Aaron Rodgers is willing to throw it up to guys that he trusts. Does he trust Mike Williams yet? We're not totally sure, but I am absolutely interested in the spot. However, the likelihood of Williams being a guy you need is low based on how many snaps he's going to play. Now, who is the next guy we need to consider? Consensus has that it's Allen Lazard. It appears for the wide receiver, rankings that Xavier Gibson and Malachi Corley could be ahead of him on the pecking order. So we're not totally sure what to do there. And for me personally, I totally want to lean into that unknown situation and try some Gibson, try some Corley, try and get a little different. Corley had some decent games, but hey, he's a rookie. They're most likely he's going to come along slow like most of the receivers for week 1. We didn't see many rookie receivers get a ton of snaps week 1, and so I wouldn't expect that for Corley. Now, I think Gibson could definitely get some. Allen Lazard is getting a lot of love, and we really don't know if he is going to get on the field a ton. So I would rather lead into it, get a little different. I think this is a great spot to be able to get different, is just the other pass catchers for the Jets. You could also go Tyler Conklin there to get different, as we know he's going to be out there, and you'll have a little more security. On the San Francisco side, Debo's all obviously a great play. He's a full go. And then we have Brandon Ayuk, who sat out, all camp and is going to be thrown right into it. Other guys that did that, this year, CeeDee Lamb Jamar Chase, neither of them had good games on Sunday. So I think there is a chance that Brandon Ayuk is a little slow to get into full go football season. He just didn't have that camp time to prepare like so many other guys. And I think that might hurt what he's got going today. Now, just like CeeDee Lamb, like Jamar Chase, those guys are good enough, including Ayuk, to just overcome that and have a game. But I think it's going to be a little bit harder for him than it normally would be. Ronnie Bell, just a total shot in the dark. He is only 200 on DraftKings. For that is the only reason I would be considering to play him. Just a total shot in the dark. We have met a 1-point projection. Consensus is 1.3. He's going to get into some lineups because of that. And then you have Juwan Jennings, who was heavily involved in their playoff run. 5 targets in the Super Bowl with the touchdown. In the divisional game, he had 6 targets, 61 yards. He doesn't have breakaway speed. He doesn't have breakaway ability, but he can get targets. And in a game where maybe Ayuk and CMC are slightly limited, Juwan Jennings starts to look a little bit more interesting at low ownership. Do I love the play? Absolutely not. Is there a chance? Yes, but I would say it's a small chance just because he's really got to get a touchdown, or we need him to get 6-8 targets and, be very efficient with those targets to be a priority to need. The most likely situation is he gets 2 to 4 targets and 30 yards, so it's not a spot that we absolutely love, but it is one to consider for sure. Obviously, Garrett Wilson is an absolute beast, and I think he needs to be in most of your rosters. He is 63% owned. There's very good reason why he is the highest owned wide receiver. Just not as much confidence or competition for targets on his team as with Debo. So Garrett definitely in consideration. However, Debo has pretty much just big of a chance to be in the perfect lineup as Garrett Wilson in my eyes. So next, over to tight end, George Kittle, Tyler Conklin. Absolutely crazy how much different their salary is. And I mean, Kittle's one of the best, if not the best tight end in the league as far as an all-around tight end, not necessarily just pass catcher. He's 7.4K, but him, Samuel, Ayuk, one of them will have a game. And you're likely going to need one of those pass catchers. You're likely going to need one of Brees or CMC. So is it going to be Conklin? He's relatively high owned at, is it going to be Kittle? It very possibly could. I do like the spot for Kittle. The one, he's been way better at home games. Jets also have given it up a little bit to tight ends. And I would like to just go in on that, especially if Ayuk is limited in any way. Kittle's just going to get some more targets. The one scary thing with Kittle, you're facing a very good D-line. And in those situations, sometimes he's asked to block a little bit more. That is the scary part about Kittle, is that they could be using him as a blocker. And if so, he's not likely going to be optimal. Now, Tyler Conklin, I think we got to consider Conklin. He was consistent all last year for his 3.2K price, 3.6 on for the showdown here. Consistent all year, and now he has an upgrade in the quarterback position. And San Francisco ranked 27th, allowing 73 yards to the tight end over the last 9 games. I think Tyler Conklin clearly has to be considered as a secondary pass catcher option to Garrett Wilson. Very much in on that. Now, look, we only have a 43-point game total, so I think both defenses do have to be in consideration. Now, the Jets have the better defense in my eye. They are only 3,200, but the offensive system for the 49ers is so good, so efficient that it's hard to really want to play that. But can Purdy throw a couple interceptions? Yes. Can Aaron Rodgers throw a couple interceptions to the Niners? Yes. And that's really what you want for defensive scoring. You want interceptions, you want sacks, and I think all of that can happen. 49ers going against Aaron Rodgers, maybe he doesn't have all that mobility. Sacks can definitely happen. Jets versus Purdy, that D-line is ridiculous, and they can definitely get to quarterbacks. So on both sides, I'm in. And then you come to the kicker situation. Kickers are always valuable and always in consideration in these games. You just never know how it's going to happen. And when you have two good defenses, the chance of drives failing coming into the red zone is just way higher. So both kickers, in my mind, are absolutely in use. Let's go over to FanDuel. We went over everybody pretty well, but let's look at the ownership here on FanDuel just to give you an idea if it's the same over here. Purdy, much more than Aaron Rodgers. That was expected. Brees and CMC, both fairly high owned. The same pivots are there as well. And then on wide receiver, this is where it gets way different. Garrett Wilson, 12.5K. So much higher price than anybody else, coming in at lower ownership. I love that ownership leverage you can get with Garrett Wilson on FanDuel. Makes total sense to want to go there. And then Brandon Ayuk, he's coming in at the highest owned, and he is by far, the one I am most scared about on the 49ers side as far as pass catchers. So the fact that he's going super high owned there would make me much less likely to use him. And then the same talk for WR on the Jets. After Mike Williams, you got Lazard, Gibson, Corley. Conklin also is a pass catcher. One of them is going to have to get a bigger target share with Mike Williams, only likely playing, 30 to 40% or so. And on tight end, Conklin is higher owned once again than Kittle, but Kittle is 3K more, so it does make some sense there. And we have the same worries on that front. All right, guys, that will do it for us today. Good luck. Make sure you try and get a little different here. I think there is definitely some spots we can target to get different. The wide receiver situation for the Jets. 49ers, unknown with Ayuk and CMC. So make sure you pay attention to news as we come closer to lock. We will try and keep you as up to date as we possibly can in chat. But have a good one, guys. We will be back next week with more NFL action. Hope you had a great week one. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.